Hey, it's Abhi Ahluwalia, founder of Unlearn. I'm so excited to be back at my old school. This is Margaret Avenue Senior Public School. This is where I went to school in grades 7 and 8. So incredibly grateful that they opened their doors to allow me to come back. I've got some exciting news to share. Margaret Avenue Senior Public School has decided to put up 5 Unlearn designs as murals on their walls. And I can't help but think about the journey that Unlearn's been on, that I've been on. I stand on the shoulder of giants. This has been a long time coming. As I was driving over, I think, how long ago was that I was in these hallways? It was 35 years, and I couldn't believe that. I had to double check the math on that. And I think about all the sacrifices those in my life had to make for me to follow my own path. Incredible parents, my mother, former educator, human rights advocate, equity advocate, my father who made incredible sacrifices, worked at a machine shop in Guelph. He used to drive by this school every day on his way to work. And I think about the environment that he had to work in. There was a lot of racism in that shop, in the shop floor and in that lunchroom, and how he used to have to hide parts of his identity as a Sikh man born into the Sikh faith, so that he wouldn't have to endure some of that taunting and that racism. You know, when that Air India bombing took place in 1984, again, some of the people that he worked with would say, hey, aren't you Sikh? Aren't you? And make some jokes about that. And I think about how that used to weigh heavily upon him, and how fast forward many years, and how, you know, a design that my father would have known, would have been familiar with, because we created it in the 90s, the Unlearn Fleshtone design. And I think about how, growing up, this design was inspired by that one crayon or pencil crayon on the box named Flesh. And I used to color my family with that flesh-colored crayon, and thinking about, wait a minute, aren't we all flesh tone? And so to circle back so many years later to think about how this design is now up in this hallway, and how students and educators can come and critically reflect on what does it mean to be part of the mosaic at this school, and see themselves represented, and critically reflect on what does it mean to have a flesh tone and that's represented. I also think about a conference that we were a part of many years ago in Ottawa, and we had a booth set up. We were selling clothing, and we had the flesh tone design hanging there. And this student came up to me and said, what does that mean? I said, it's open for interpretation. What do you think it means? And this student turned a bright shade of red. I put them on their spot. They had friends around them, and she kind of froze and said, I have no idea. I said, well, it's okay. It's open for interpretation. Think about it. An hour later, I'm talking to someone else. I get tapped on the shoulder. I turned around and said, yes. And she said, I got it. And I said, got what? She said, I have an interpretation of that design. And I said, great, I'd love to hear it. And she said, a rainbow has many colors to make it beautiful. So does the world. And I thought that so beautifully articulated this design. And I think of you, Dad, and I said, you're part of that rainbow. Thank you to my parents for allowing me to, again, follow my path. I want to thank Margaret Avenue Senior Public School for allowing the Unlearn team to come into this space and to reflect on this journey, and for being so bold and choosing the designs that you did to put up in these hallways to provoke thought and inspire positive change.